Okay. Oh! Oh! Come on! Come on! Oh! Oh, shit! Yo! Oh, my God! Superstar! 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 That was Dwayne Wade last night reacting to Tyrese Haliburton with another phenomenal moment. Welcome to Fearless. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. I am Jason Whitlock, your lifelong Indiana Pacer fan, your lifelong sports fan. Last night was awesome. But it's more than just last night. I'm on cloud nine, and I'm going to unpack for you today why sports are important and why we shouldn't give up on sports. And some of you will interpret what I say today. Oh, Whitlock's just arguing what's in his self-interest. Whitlock is a longtime sports person, and he doesn't want to give up on sports. It's bigger, it's deeper, it's broader than that. It may take me a second. It may take me a little bit longer than I anticipated because Jay Skapinac's going to come on, and we'll talk some basketball and NBA finals with Jay. Steve Kim's going to come on. We'll talk a little basketball. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers signing finally with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I need some time to emote some joy and some time to explain to you all why sports are important. And I know many of you are frustrated and many of you want to give up on sports. You want to give up on athletes, but I can't do it and we shouldn't do it. And I'm going to unpack it for you while explaining to you why these people that think Tyrese Haliburton isn't a superstar, they're just dead wrong. I'm not going to call them idiots, but they're just dead wrong. I'm going to explain all that. Before I get into that, I want to thank our great friends at Relief Factor for making this show possible and for helping me and friends of mine relieve their inflammation and pain, the pain and stress that many people are dealing with on a daily basis and think, well, I just can't do what I used to do. Well, yes, you can. There's a good chance you can. There's a good chance that Relief Factor can relieve that inflammation and those nagging pains that are preventing you from enjoying life and participating in life to its fullest. Relief Factor has a 3-week quick start program that's just $19.95. That's $20 to find out if you can relieve some of that pain and if you can get back to being as active as you used to be, if you can start making the decisions you used to make and not giving up. This is what we don't want to do. We don't want to give up. That's going to be a big part of today's show. Let me help you not give up by sending you to Relief Factor and try their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. 70% of the people that try the quick start circle back and re-up because they're already feeling the benefits of Relief Factor. It's a 100% drug-free supplement that you take daily that fights pain and inflammation. 2 ways to get it. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800, the number 4-RELIEF. You've heard me share my own story and how I've been able to work out more. You've heard me talk about my buddy Jeffrey Steele, who 63 years old and he bikes 30 miles a day, and it's because he takes Relief Factor. Anyway, thank you, Relief Factor. Let's get into today's show. And I've got an analogy. I want to first play a clip, and I like Richard Jefferson. He's former NBA player. He's on the call for ESPN and ABC during these NBA finals. He's one of the color commentators. Excellent top flight college basketball player, had a long, successful NBA career, played in NBA finals. think he was on LeBron James's Cleveland championship team. Excellent player, Richard Jefferson. I think he was on the Brooklyn Nets when they made a championship run or to the finals. I don't know if they won the finals, but excellent career. And I think he's a sincere person. I think he's a good person, but he's among a lot of people that want to argue that Tyrese Haliburton isn't a superstar. And I think Bleacher Report or somebody, Yahoo, had this report back in April that Tyrese Haliburton is the most overrated player in the NBA. Oh, really? Is he? Is he now? And so so Richard Jefferson has this deal that's very clever. He says that Tyrese Haliburton puts up tour date numbers. You know, it's like, hey, you can't have, he said it last night, Richard Jefferson did, you can't have your best player putting up tour date stat lines, basically, 12, 10, and 6, or so, you know, that the numbers read off like they're talking about a concert tour. We're not talking about someone that's putting up 40, 12, and 13. Those aren't tour dates, but 12, 10, and 6, tour date. He said it last night. Mike Breen was entertained by it. But I'm going to explain to you and to Richard Jefferson and everybody what kind of tour this is. Let's play the clip of Richard Jefferson last night. I think with about 3.5 minutes to play, 3 minutes and 40 seconds to play, the Pacers are getting beat. It looks like they're going to lose. OKC has been dominant, or has not dominant, but has been in control of the game from start to finish. Here's Richard Jefferson.
MVP. Look at this finish.
That is difficult. But on the other end, Tyrese Haliburton, he has these games where he goes in and out, where he can be dominant and look like one of the best players in the league. And there's other dates where he puts up 12, 10, and 6. Those are tour dates. Your best player can't put up tour dates in the NBA Finals.
So there he is talking about tour dates. And to that point, Tyrese Haliburton had 12 points, but it was his 14th points that everybody will remember. He hit the game-winning shot with 0.3 seconds on the clock, and it's the 4th time that he's done it. Tyrese Haliburton is Thriller. That's the tour that he is on right now. This is his 4th game-winning shot in this playoff season. There's been 4 different series that the Pacers have been in, and he's hit a game-winning shot in all 4 of them. No, one of them was a game-tying shot that sent it to overtime. Let me correct. But this is an incredible run. This is the stuff of superstars. This is what makes someone a superstar. When you can moonwalk, you're a superstar. And that's what he's been doing. He moonwalked, let's get the track list up. He moonwalked on the Milwaukee Bucks to start this whole deal? Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks Game 5. That's, for those of you that know anything about Michael Jackson, know anything about the album Thriller, I'm going to call that wannabe starting something. That's what the Game 5 game winner with 1.3 seconds on the clock. And if you remember, Tyrese Haliburton's dad came out of the stands and got in Giannis Antetokounmpo's face, and that was kind of controversial. But that was Tyrese. He wanted to be starting something. And this is man, he's had nice 4 games, blah, blah. Let's remember this about the album Thriller. It was only 9 songs. The greatest album of the greatest entertainer of all times was just 9 songs. To be a superstar, a super duper superstar, you don't have to put out 30 songs. You don't have to be Morgan Wallen and every song is an incredible hit. You put the right stuff together in the right time on the right album, and the next thing you know, I'll give you another musical analogy, you're Guns N' Roses, and all you need is Appetite for Destruction. And no one ever forgets you. I don't know anything else about Guns N' Roses, and I do think they had a couple other good songs beyond the Appetite for Destruction album. But everybody remembers the Appetite for Destruction. Does everybody not remember Hootie and the Blowfish, Crack Rearview Mirror? That's about it. That's about all they did, Hootie and the Blowfish. But no one forgets. No one's going to forget what Tyrese Haliburton has done during this playoff series. Game 2 versus the Cavaliers, 1.1 second. Human nature is what I'm calling that, if you remember the Thriller album. That it's like, hold on, this is this guy's nature. This is just what he does. We thought the first one wanna be starting something. We kind of thought that was a one-off. Nah, he circles back in game 2 against the Cavaliers, and it's like, no, this is my nature. This is human nature. Last series, the Boston Celtics. He throws game 1 into overtime, and they eventually win in overtime. They have this remarkable comeback against the Knicks, and he throws it in overtime with a buzzer beater at the end of the fourth quarter. I'm going to call that beat it. And last night, this dude went full Michael Jackson. This is Thriller. Game 1 versus the Thunder, point 3. He knocks down. Who's ever done this? We haven't seen this in sports. Now, let me tell you why this is important. And I say this in all seriousness, and I say this for those of you that are hardcore, fearless fans of this show, hardcore evangelical conservatives. Many of you want to give up on sports. Many of you have given up on sports. Many of you write me emails and text messages or Twitter messages and say, hey, man, leave all that sports alone. It's a bunch of woke idiots. It's a bunch of, particularly your fascination with the WNBA. It's a bunch of hardcore feminist lesbians. That's what that league promotes. Leave sports alone, Jason. I've quit watching sports. Many of you, and hats off to you, have quit watching just corporate television. Anything that comes on these corporate TV deals, you're just not interested in, and I get it. I have the same issue, the same problem. This is not a joke. This is serious. If I'm not watching live sports in my home gym, and that's pretty much where I watch TV, in my home gym. It's a way, it's like a reward for going to the gym and working out. Hey, you can watch a little TV. But the only thing I can watch is Law and Order replays, Godfather replays of the movie The Godfather, or them old school, and I'm sorry for, it's only, I can't kick the habit of them. Casino, Goodfellas, A Bronx Tale. I watch those movies. I'm sorry, Scarface. I watch them. The old, but I can watch Law and Order replays and old mafia movies, and I can watch live sports. And that's all. So I've given up on TV. It's all too woke. It's all too secular. There's too much nudity. There's too much sex. There's just too much demonic energy. And I know these Godfather movies aren't the greatest, but they're great storytelling, and they got some family values. I still like. I like Michael Corleone. I like Don Corleone. I like those movies. Jesus is still working on me. But I understand why you've given up on television. Everything coming out of your TV pretty much violates a biblical worldview to its core and foundation. But I want to remind you, and you've heard me talk about this on this show repeatedly, Christians organized and basically launched organized sports. The YMCA in the late 1800s, when we actually knew what the YMCA stood for, Young Men's Christian Association. They wanted a masculine Christianity. And so they thought, hey, let's organize sports in order to promote masculinity among Christian men. That's what founded sports. Sports is ours. And I know they have changed it. I know they have hijacked it. I know they've injected it with so much money that you dang near don't recognize sports. But it is ours. And we should not surrender it. They've taken over sports. They've injected it with Marxism and feminism and everything else as a way to change American culture, in order to change the way young kids and young men are developed through sports. You just don't give that away and say, hey, I'm walking away from that. You take it back. And yes, taking it back will be very difficult. And we will never probably be able to eliminate all the money, the excess of money they've dumped into it. But surrender it? No way. It's too important. It has too much cultural influence. And there are still rays of hope. There are still people out there, even Tyrese Haliburton still has biblical values, still emotes a positive energy, still doesn't violate our values. I believe we have a clip here of Tyrese Haliburton talking about the Bible. Let's play shot number 3.
So my first essential would be the Bible. Over the last 2 years, my religion has become very important in my life. Just understanding that I'm made in the image of God, and in a world where, you have a bad game and they're killing you on social media, or, confidence goes up and down, I can always come right here. This is like my peace. Just understand that I'm made in his image and he's the only one who can really judge me. Growing up, like the verse that everybody got tattooed on was Philippians 4:13, I can do all through Christ who strengthens me. And I always believed in that, but I never read the Bible, so it's been important to me the last 2 years. I ain't go to church or nothing like that growing up, so when I got to the NBA, they do chapel before every game, so when 60's on the clock, there's always a meeting where both teams, coaches, everybody's welcome to come in and do like a 15-minute service. Harrison Barnes was my vet, and so I used to always go with him, and then when I got traded, just started going with Buddy, and now Buddy's gone, so it's really just me most of the time, and it's been really good for me.
Tyrese Haliburton standing out there 10 toes down by himself. We should be supporting Tyrese Haliburton. You don't have to like everybody else in the NBA to support Tyrese Haliburton. We have to identify the good in sports and support it. I know it's frustrating. I know it's difficult. A lot of times I watch a lot of sports with the sound turned down. I have to grit my teeth. But I'm telling you, this NBA Finals, and it goes beyond Tyrese Haliburton, what's unique about this NBA Finals. If you happen to tune in and watch, and I think you should, and there's no guarantee, the OKC may win the next 4 games. That's probably more likely them winning the next 4 than the Pacers actually winning the series. Better chance that this ends 4-1 OKC than 4-3 or 4-2 the Indiana Pacers. But here's what you will see if you do watch, and it was clear as day last night. You can take all the criticisms of the NBA. None of them applied to last night's game. That was a beautiful game of basketball. Those guys on both teams competed really hard on both ends of the court. None of the stereotypes about the NBA applied to that game. Yes, there were a high number of threes shot, but not an incredible amount where you felt like, hey, man, these guys aren't running offense. They're just jacking up threes. The Indiana Pacers, 19 turnovers in the first half. And it wasn't because they were sloppy. It was because OKC was incredible defensively, and the Pacers were so into ball movement and man movement and a lack of dribbling and just moving the ball that there was just a lot of turnovers. But it wasn't a sloppy game. It was a beautiful game. And I'm not saying that because the Pacers won. And I'm a lifelong Pacer fan. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you, at halftime, when the OKC was up double digits, I believe, at halftime, all I could think about was like, man, what an incredible defense the Thunder just played. Holy cow, this is one of the greatest defensive efforts I've ever seen. And then the other thing that I didn't really understand until, because I dreamed about the game all last night again. I'm a Pacer fan, and I thought about my dad and my dad taking me and my brother to games when we were kids and just how much he would enjoy what's going on with the Pacers. This run to the NBA Finals is so unlikely and just so inspiring. But the other thing that, like, when I was just replaying the game in my head, it dawned on me like, man, and I know I'm a little bit sick and a nut, but I was like, man, there weren't a lot of tattoos in that game. There weren't a lot of guys who were wearing hairstyles where I couldn't figure out, is that a man or a woman? Watch this game. Watch these two teams. There's less tats, less distraction, less men running around presenting themselves as women than anything I've seen in the NBA in the last 10 years. They centered, and I don't know if it's by accident, I don't know if Adam Silver's finally leaning into it, but last night was about basketball. It wasn't about how many tats I have. It wasn't about different color hairstyles. There were few distractions, other than Doris Burke. There were few distractions. It was about basketball. It was enjoyable, whether the Pacers won the game or not. We should not be giving up on sports because, one, I think young people, and we're going to start seeing this, it's creeping more and more and more into the sports world with these young athletes. Many of them are leaning into their biblical values. It's the cool thing to do. And yes, you may say, hey, they're doing it as a fad because it is the cool thing, but it's a lot better than this cool thing they had been doing of leaning into Marxism and racism and Black Lives Matter and the whole victimhood mentality. Sports, there's the entertainment industry. There are tiny signs of healing. And this is why I'm very reluctant. Like, rap music, I've given up on. It's satanic. The people in it are satanic. It's the messaging and all that. I've given up on it. But I'll never give up on music. And if you, TJ, either yesterday or the day before this week was like, hey, and I'm going to screw up this name. No, I'm not, because I'm going to look it up here on I don't have to go to my phone. I can do it right here on my Apple Music. Make sure I get this kid's name right. I just added it to my Gospel Jams playlist. Forrest Frank, Your Way is Better. And I can't think of the name. If TJ, if you're listening, someone text me the name of the other guy that, but these guys are starting to pump out Billboard top 100 type songs. And this Forrest Frank's got the Your Way is Better. Everybody's dancing to it. It's a great song for kids. It celebrates Jesus Christ. And it's having major impact in the music industry. It's one of the funnest songs I've heard in years. Young people are changing. We've made such a mess, and the world has become so demonic and perverted that the young people are rejecting secularism and starting to return to a biblical worldview. And we're seeing it with the athletes, from either Tyrese Haliburton to CJ Stroud, everybody celebrating their faith. We don't give up on sports. We hold the ground. We stand our ground. Sports is ours. I'm going to tie this all together for those of you from Indianapolis or just trying to understand why I'm so passionate about not giving up on sports, and just how, like, some of this stuff, you know, I'm a tinfoil hat guy and think everything's conspiratorial, but everything's not a conspiracy. Many things are just God moving chess pieces, or everything is just God moving chess pieces on the board. A lot of things work for good. And this next one here is going to be like, nah, man, she's a feminist. Nah, man, she bent the knee to the woke crowd. Look, man, Caitlin Clark is just a child. You don't give up on children. You don't give up on young people. She made a mistake, in my view, probably not in hers, bending the knee to these woke idiots and talking about she's here to uplift black women, blah, blah, blah. And everyone, because we got this religion of worshiping black women. She stepped out of line. She's not doing what we're seeing from a lot of male athletes that are like, nah, I'm here to uplift Jesus Christ. Black women, y'all uplift Jesus Christ too, and that'll lift y'all up. Instead, Caitlin Clark's somewhat bought into the bogus deal that it's her job, that she's some sort of God and she needs to uplift black women instead of letting Jesus Christ. Let them black women fall in line with Jesus Christ and watch what Jesus Christ will do for black women. Caitlin Clark can't do it. Sabrina Ionescu can't do it. Breanna Stewart, these white women can't do it, nothing, and white men can't do nothing for black women either. But Caitlin Clark's a child. But someone explained to me how in Indianapolis, Indiana, the biggest star in all of sports shows up wearing the number 22, and her name is Caitlin Clark. And then there's another basketball player in Indianapolis playing for the men's team named Tyrese Haliburton, who wears the number 22. And Caitlin Clark shows up, and Tyrese Haliburton befriends her. And the next thing you know, Tyrese Haliburton starts becoming a superstar, not quite on Caitlin Clark's level, but now he's a superstar as well. They're both in Indianapolis. They're both in Indiana, the Hoosier state, the basketball state, where basketball reigns. And they both have a fan base filled with traditional Americans with biblical values, who believe in the nuclear family, who don't want to be a part of promoting any form of racism, anti-black or anti-white. How does this happen? A year ago, who would have thought the two most entertaining, interesting basketball players would be playing in Indianapolis in the same arena, representing the same city, wearing the same number, and would become friends? There's something going on. And we don't give up on sports. We stand our ground. We maintain the hope. We support the people and things about sports that we like, and we work to change and to reinstill biblical values in sports, because we founded this. This is ours. The same way you want to defend America and say, hey man, me and my ancestors, we did this here in America. And I'm just going to let Somalians, I'm going to let Mexicans, I'm going to let any and every Indians come in and just change this entire culture? You just going to turn it, run and hide and just move further and further? Everybody's going to move to Idaho and Montana? Or do you fight and stand your ground? And I think sports are worth fighting for and standing your ground because help is on the way. I think Tyrese Haliburton and his friendship with Caitlin Clark, this is my hope, this is my prayer, is that she will never again bend her knee. She'll have this relationship and friendship with Tyrese Haliburton. She'll never spend another moment worried about, oh, I got to make sure I say things that please Angel Reese and Asia Wilson. And she'll return to that Christian, Catholic education, discipleship that her parents raised her up in, and she'll stand 10 toes down and quit trying to pander to a bunch of women, lesbians, black, whatever, that want to anoint themselves as worthy of worship. So I had a couple of different thoughts here as it related to what we saw last night from Tyrese Haliburton. I thought of Michael Jackson, and I thought of Thriller, and then I thought of the movie A Star is Born. And mostly I thought about the remake. I did watch the original one with Barbara Streisand, I believe, and whoever was, but that was so long ago. I did happen to see this latest one, and I gotta admit, it's one of the few things recently, and I did enjoy it. Call me a simp, call me beta or whatever, but the music that whoever sung for Bradley Cooper, that music was good, and I got to give Lady Gaga credit. She played a hell of a role. And anyway, I just thought of, like, well, that's what we got going on here with Tyrese Haliburton and Caitlin Clark. A Star is Born. Tyrese Haliburton. And it was like adding Lady Gaga, and I can't remember the character that Bradley Cooper played. I can't remember his name. But the injection of Lady Gaga and her character to his music re-elevated, reignited his career. This dude had some demons. Anyway, it's a great movie. But we have two stars being born. Our one showed up a star and now has created another star. And you can't tell me that this is just coincidence, that this is just luck, that this is some sort of rig job that the NBA and WNBA are pulling off. I don't care if the Pacers get swept the next 4 games. Something fascinating has happened here. You're going to see corporations, they will have no choice. You would have to be retarded, and look, they are capable of being that retarded. But you're going to see commercials promoting Tyrese Haliburton and Caitlin Clark any and everywhere. They are a dynamic basketball duo that, for the most part, stand for all the right things, and they're worthy of our support. Be mad at me all you want, and you're wasting your time following sports. Nothing coming out of a television screen other than, me watch. I watched this Philip Anthony Mitchell, now this minister out of Atlanta, 2819. Obviously I watch Vodi Bakum and John McCarthy, but I've spent a lot of time watching this Philip Anthony Mitchell out of Atlanta. So other than that, other than sermons and sometimes I go to sleep with, they got these Bible readings that put you to sleep or whatever. But other than that, nothing gives me more satisfaction. Nothing gives me more nothing could keep me up the way I just tossed and turned all last night and dreamed about what Tyrese Haliburton did, memories of my dad and my brother and I going to the Indianapolis Fairgrounds to watch the Indiana Pacers and Darnell Hillman's afro and, me from Alex English to Billy Knight to Wayman Tisdale to whoever was the best player on the Pacers, Reggie Miller, no matter how much, it just brought back all kinds of great memories. And that ending last night just thrilled me to no end, brought me joy. And, occasionally everybody needs that kind of joy. Everybody needs something to entertain them from time to time that brings them joy. And sports does that for me, and it can still do it for us. And we should not give up on sports. It's ours. We did that. Don't give it to them. Just because they've stolen it and hijacked it for the moment doesn't mean they get to keep it forever. All right, I'm going to bring in Jay Skapinac to get a little bit more of a basketball breakdown of what we witnessed last night. Do my Pacers have any chance of sustaining this? We'll do that with Jay Skapinac here in a moment. I do want to remind you all that if you have a subscription to Blaze TV, and you should go to fearlessmission.com and get your subscription, get $20 off. I think the promo code is Fearless. Maybe it's Fearless 20. I can't remember. But anyway, go to fearlessmission.com so that you can see this new series we have, investigation into the BLM riots and the aftermath of George Floyd. There's 3 former police officers, current police officers that were on the Minneapolis Police Department before and during the riots and the whole George Floyd. They're still there. They talk anonymously, but break down all the corruption and all the BS that has gone on as it relates to Derek Chauvin, as it relates to Tim Walz. They break it all down. The best way to see it is to be a Blaze TV subscriber. Go to fearlessmission.com, get $20 off your subscription. You got to support this style of journalism. Anyway, Jay Skapinac, next. Chad is taking a significant deep dive into the legacy and impact of Martin Luther King Jr.
A hero. He's considered to be a leader. He's considered to be almost like a deity.
The reason why I think your documentary has a chance, if people just put on their thinking caps for a minute and just think about what we're seeing right now.
He exploited a grievance, and where there was no grievance, he created one rhetorically.
Martin Luther King, force for good or force for bad for black people in American culture?
Force for bad. Total force for bad. But we're attaching a lot of stuff to MLK that didn't originate with him. Stuff that was plagiarized. But he was a good orator, so he made it sound good. Martin Luther King, not only did he have all the answers, but who else could have done it?
Holy cow, we have a Jay Skapinac Open. Skapinac, welcome back to the show. Let's start you with the question of the day. Tyrese Haliburton, superstar or no superstar?
Well, Jason, thank you so much for having me again. And that was quite a little intro there. I thank you guys for that. Look, I bestowed superstar status upon your guy, Tyrese Haliburton, a few games back when he had an absolute historical triple-double performance against the Knicks in that Game 5. Actually, it was I think it was to put them up 3-1. So it would have been Game 4. But he joined Oscar Robertson and Nikola Jokic as the only players in NBA history to have a 30, 15, and 10 game. He had 32 points, 15 assists, 12 rebounds, Jason. And in that game, he had 0 turnovers to accompany it. That made him the first player ever in league history to have that such line. It put your Pacers up at the time 3-1, all but decided that series. So I've said he was a superstar since that game, a bona fide top 10 current NBA player. And I think going into next season now, we need to put some respect on this kid's name. Do you know, Jason, that The Atlantic recently, I think just before these playoffs began,
The Athletic.
Yes, The Atlantic. Thank you. Yes. their annual, it's like this anonymous
Athletic.
player.
You keep saying Atlantic. The
Athletic. Sorry. Athletic. Sorry. Let's give credit to where credit is due, or where it's not due, Jason, because this article is absurd. It voted Tyrese Haliburton as the most overrated player in the NBA today. Holy crap. I think whatever 100 anonymous players allegedly voted on that thing, I think it immediately needs to be walked back, because this is one of the great playoff runs in my memory of, let's say, 30 years. Individual playoff runs. It's astonishing what this kid has done. The 4 tying or go-ahead shots in the last 5 seconds of a game. It's unprecedented, and they all come after the Pacers have trailed by substantial margins late, double-digit margins in the fourth quarters, all put to rest by Tyrese Haliburton, superstar, Jason, definitively.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that he was, and I do believe that the anonymous players voted him the most overrated. Look, Jesus was second-guessed and doubted in his own hometown. No shocking to me that Tyrese Haliburton is doubted within the NBA, but he's done the right thing with that criticism, that skepticism. He's answered his critics and skeptics and proven that, he's as clutch a player as we've ever seen. And he's superstar television at this point. He's another reason, or a reason, one of the top 2 or 3 reasons to watch the NBA moving forward. Skap, do the Pacers have a chance now to win this series?
Well, Jason, I wanted to make sure I got a lot of credit and praise in there for the great Tyrese Haliburton, because I've become a massive fan of his throughout these playoffs. And look, credit to him and your Pacers for being a willing participant, for just hanging around enough in last night's game to take advantage of yet another epic and pathetic collapse by the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are disgusting to me, Jason. I'm so angry and annoyed. While you were excited last night, and I thought it was an incredible shot, and I was, happy for Haliburton, but my overriding sense last night was disgust and contempt for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. How dare they? How dare they continue to do this with that level of talent? How dare Mark Dagnall, last year's Coach of the Year? How dare Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the alleged league MVP this year? How dare they? They're now down 0-1, Jason, for 2 of their 4 series in this postseason run. This historic of a team has the audacity to do this again, and this time on the final stage, with just needing 4 games to cement themselves into historic status. They messed around with the Denver Nuggets. They learned nothing from it. And here we are again. Look, as great as Tyrese Haliburton is, and as, clutch as the Pacers as a team have been in these continued comebacks, last night's outcome to me is way more about the Oklahoma City Thunder than it is about the Indiana Pacers. So, no, I'm still not buying it.
Whoa. Stop. Whoa. Way more about the OK City Thunder. Why? You just felt like they took their foot off the gas? Why?
Look, watching the game and watching, Jason, I've watched every playoff game, I think, for roughly 30 years. I never got an indication the Pacers were ever going to win that game. As I was watching it, I thought to myself, it's 8 to 13 point lead the whole game. And I was thinking, well, this is a little closer than I was expecting, because I was expecting 20 to 30. So the fact that it was 8 to 13, yes, but I got no indication. You'll get a feel for a game at some point, at certain points. I never felt until there was 5 seconds left in that game that the Pacers had any realistic shot of winning it. They were down 15 with 9.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. They were down still 9 with 2.5 minutes to go. The Indiana Pacers did not lead that game, Jason, for an entire second even. They took their first and only lead with 0.3 of a second remaining. That was just a catastrophic choke job for the Oklahoma City Thunder. but they're so good. This is what really annoys me about this team, Jason. Damn it, and this is why I'm so annoyed and angry today. They exude this aura of arrogance, like, oh, well, who cares that we lost this? Who cares that we blew it? It's not confidence, it's straight arrogance, because they're too big to fail. They know their talent discrepancy is too wide. It doesn't matter that they screw around and blow games like this, because they're just so much better than everyone else. When your Pacers did this to the Knicks last round in game one, I said, yo, series has flipped totally. I had Knicks in 7 going in. I completely reversed the Pacers in 6 after that game one. I feel nothing but annoyance for the Thunder. They're going to flip the switch on, I think. And you mentioned earlier you don't care if the Pacers lose 4 straight. It might be just that, Jason.
Okay, let me ask you this. Halftime, and these were my thoughts at halftime. Pacers just had 19 turnovers, and they're not out of this game. If they just do anything just for a 3-5 minute stretch, they're within striking distance. And so, and I didn't think their turnovers were like, hey man, they're just really sloppy. I was just thoroughly impressed with OKC's defense. But when they got to halftime, I've never seen a team have 19 turnovers in a half, and the game was still within reach. I was like, oh, anything's a possibility. Let me stay awake.
Well, Jason, let's just underline your point there and really place it in bold text here. You've never seen it because it's never been done since tracking data has gone back 35 years in NBA Finals history. 19 first-half turnovers is the most ever in those 35 years in any single half for any single team. The 24 turnovers then for the game, the Pacers' highest for the whole season. But to your point in the first half, I looked at it a totally different way. I said, look, the Thunder have come out with their F game. Here. They shot 37%, did the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first half, and yet they were still up 12. Now, to your point, yes, that was because they were capitalizing on those turnovers, and credit to Indiana, they cut it to 5 turnovers then in the second half. But still, look, I've been watching the NBA for a long time, and perhaps this is a commentary on the Pacers because I keep saying it. NBA teams with these levels of leads should never lose. When you're up 9 points with 2-something minutes remaining in a game, you just shouldn't lose that game. You have to play into it. You have to choke it away. You have to lose it. And when I look at the talent discrepancy of these two teams, it's stark. It's startling. I know the Pacers are a different team than they were now in the regular season, but still the regular season is a large indicator of playoff success. Jason, I keep talking about this metric, SRS, simple rating system. It talks about the differential that you win by, as well as factoring in the strength of your opponents and the schedule that you play. The Thunder this year set the all-time record for SRS. They broke a record that was 54 years old coming into this season. They obliterated it by half of a point. This season, the Indiana Pacers were the 13th best SRS team in the league. So you have the best team ever playing the 13th best this season. Now, okay, they're better than the 13th best now, but still, they're not, maybe the 5th or 6th best team in the league, and they're now up 1-0 on this historic team. I maintain. Great, clutch, gritty performance by the Pacers. This is totally a commentary on the pathetic, disgusting performance last night by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I do mean everybody in an Oklahoma City Thunder jersey, including the league MVP SGA, and probably most prominently Mark Daigneault with his baffling decisions. Jason, look at the rebounding discrepancy. 56-39, the Pacers out-rebound the Oklahoma City Thunder. Could that be possibly because Chet Holmgren played 24 total minutes and Isaiah Hartenstein played only 17? You have 2 elite bigs, 2 7-foot bigs that could sleepwalk to a 20-point, 12 rebound per game average on any team in the NBA. You don't play them at all. He plays all guards. They get absolutely dusted on the glass, which keyed the comeback. It's just pathetic. This whole team, I'm so sick that this team is this damn good and they're wasting it away with these pathetic efforts. And now in the NBA Finals, I'm sick by it. You were enthused, excited. I was disgusted, Jason.
Last thing, Skap, as it relates to this game, for me, and I didn't fully take note of it until this morning, but I knew there was something going on as I watched the game that I wasn't expecting that made the game more enjoyable. And again, it may just be a quirk in my personality, but sports are just TV shows. And the characters in this particular TV show, they're a lot easier for me to look at because there's a lot less tattoos in this series. There's a lot less feminine hairstyles. The only thing that's a slight distraction to me is it seems like a couple, 2 or 3 guys are wearing pink shoes, and I don't get the pink shoes deal. But other than that, this is an aesthetically pleasing brand about the way the Pacers move the basketball, the way OKC plays defense, the way both of them seem really organized and orchestrated. And I'm just telling you, I'm not looking at guys with neck tattoos and, crazy Barney Rubble wife hairstyles. Anyway, am I wrong thinking about that, or did that strike you as well?
No, I don't think you're wrong, and I'll take it even a step further. I think when you listen to the majority of the players on both teams, they're all intelligent, well-spoken players for the most part. Like Chet Holmgren is the only guy that you can barely understand what the hell this guy's saying. But other than that, like when I listened to the entirety of Jalen Williams and Shea in the post game, Tyrese Haliburton again as well. Like these guys, they're just so well collected, well composed, and they're just good ambassadors for the game. So yeah, I agree with you. Like that makes it more watchable for some. It does when you see these guys and their poised precision in the press conferences and the way they conduct and carry themselves off the floor.
Skap, I'm done with you. There was a couple other things I was going to ask you, but I'm not going to distract myself or the audience. I really don't care about the NBA expanding, although I think it's a mistake. I don't think you can fix the All-Star game with the USA. I will ask you about that. Just be quick, but don't hurry. This Adam Silver's talking about Team USA versus Team World. Think this is going to fix the All-Star game?
No, I don't think it will fix it. I do like it. I think I've been clamoring for this for like 10 years. Most people have. He doesn't really care about the product at all, just viewership and, as you mentioned, expansion. But I think if there's any direction to go at this point, with how dreadful and embarrassing this product has become over the last multiple years, and it just keeps getting ago. So I think this is the only realistic, viable path. But it still boils down to, unfortunately, Jason, these individual players caring and having the desire to compete. And will they do that? Who knows? It's anyone's guess. But if we go with past precedent, I would say the answer is no. And, just quickly at the end, I'll slide in. I agree completely with you on expansion. Terrible idea.
Yep, thank you so much. We'll get to the Korean Cosell, Steve Kim. Next. As much as I achieved as a sports writer, I would have ascended even higher if my personal life was settled. That marriage and that type of stability is a part of achieving greatness. But when you prioritize happiness, which is basically instant gratification, it has nothing to do with stability. It has to do with the ultimate freedom and the lack of responsibility. And I used to say to people that the lack of responsibility, this was my primary quote, the lack of responsibility was the key to happiness. Happiness. And now that I've gotten older, I've realized just like how unimportant happiness actually is. And that will sound crazy to many of you. But for men, happiness is just not that important.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 reason that I'm back is to feed you raps and I see that you up here below so fly
All right, welcome back. Time for some Korean.
자, 언더독인 인디애나가 익숙한 상황을 맞이한다. 할리버튼 버텨내는데요.
Steve, that was the Korean call of last night's NBA Finals game. Figured you would know that. Were you on the call? Anyway, Steve, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That guy yelled that from the rooftop. And I'm not going to lie to you. That was superior to listening to Doris Burke. I want to thank. Good job, Cousins. Good job. We are proud of you on the 38th parallel. 감사합니다.
Steve, I've tried to be creative here, and you are my creative director and judge of the creativity. I've gone with the thriller analogy to Tyrese Haliburton, and I've gone with the A Star is Born analogy. Do you like one better than the other? Do either one of them land?
Okay, as someone that, like you, I'm an admirer of the great Michael Jackson, that wasn't, you weren't that much off the wall, except, is Haliburton a superstar of the level of MJ? Because when you think of Michael Jackson and you compare it to a basketball player, well, then that equates to the other MJ, Michael Jordan. If you're specifically going to go to the Thriller album, which is a masterpiece, now, you can make an argument that Off the Wall is his #1 album. Most people would go with Thriller, had more commercial success. Haliburton right now is at the level of Michael Jackson bad. Still very, very good, but maybe not at that upper echelon of Off the Wall and Thriller because, look, Pacers get down early. Then he looks at the man in the mirror. It's just another part of him. And then all of a sudden, oh, my God, he becomes a smooth criminal. See what you got me doing? I just couldn't help myself with that one. Good album, but he's not at the Thriller Michael Jackson level. Let him hoist the trophy. Then maybe he becomes a pretty young thing. So he's 3 games to go. 3 games.
So the reason why I like the Thriller analogy is because I think that should be Haliburton's nickname moving forward. Thriller. And I know I'm not calling him, he clearly isn't on Michael Jackson's level, but I do like the Thriller nickname for Tyrese Haliburton.
Again, he's 3 games away from wearing 1 glove and moonwalking. He's had a great playoff. I actually like these Pacers, Jason, what I've seen. They're a hardworking group of guys. I like Siakam. There's a lot of things on the floor that are winning. They play hard, and they scrap, and they grind. Watching that game last night, a little bit of it, kind of reviewing it, it reminded me of a game that I watched long ago that I know you must have watched. And I wonder if it's going to have the same type of mental and emotional impact that it did for the rest of this series. Jason, Game 1, 1995, a young Shaq O'Neal and Penny Hardaway in Orlando jump out early on the Rockets. And I think they were up by 18 or 20 late middle of the third quarter, thinking, okay, it's 1-0. Then all of a sudden, the greatness of Hakeem Olajuwon, Kenny the Jet Smith had a big game, and they ended up tying the game late in regulation. I think it was the Jet hitting a big 3. And then in overtime, Drexler drives to the hole, and Hakeem Olajuwon with that backhanded tip in, they stole Game 1, and the series the rest of the way, Orlando never recovered. So that's going to be very, very intriguing to see how they react emotionally, OKC, in game number 2.
Steve, what do you think of my point? And again, it's kind of an obscure one, but for me, the game was visually pleasing.
Yes.
Because it's not a bunch of guys tatted up with crazy hairstyles and crazy hair colors. Basketball was front and center, not a bunch of players trying to be distractions and, hey, look at me, look at all these tats, look at this crazy hairstyle. I just got to enjoy basketball last night. That was a big part of the reason why I enjoyed, and maybe I'm going to enjoy this entire series.
And here I thought you were going to talk about the effort, the fact people are getting to the rim, people are challenged at the rim. You're talking about, I didn't see that many high top fades, though. I mean, I actually think this was more about effort and purpose. I think those two things absolutely matter. I can handle whoever looks a certain way. You could look like Sideshow Bob. You could look like Scoop and Scrap Lover and Big Daddy Kane. It wouldn't matter to me. The problem with the NBA in general, in my opinion, Jason, is that for 3/4 of the year, these guys don't care enough. They don't play all the time. They don't care to play all the time. And when they do play, the effort is not all that exuberant. Yesterday, you could really see that there was some passion. And guess what? It actually mattered to these guys going down the stretch.
Without question. Steve, I want to move on to the National Football League. And Aaron Rodgers, it's finally over.
Yes.
He's now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think any of us are surprised by that. It seems inevitable. I think where the real meat of the matter is, do we think he's going to be successful in a Steelers uniform? He signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
I'm on a fire first. I think he's going to have a very good season. I don't think he's going to go out looking as bad as he did in a Jets uniform.
Well, the important thing is Joy Taylor expects him at the Steelers practice facility by noon Eastern time. So, Aaron, get over there, please. You look at Aaron Rodgers' numbers last year, and I just looked him up, right around 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, double digits in interceptions, I believe. Cosmetically, it's not bad. But again, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Some of the other metrics, Aaron Rodgers is now a middle-of-the-road quarterback. But again, that may not be about him. You had bad offensive line. You may have not had a true number one receiver. After all, it is the Jets. But, Jason, I'm with you. No matter what anyone says about Aaron Rodgers, he's an elite athlete. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, no question. I would like to think that there is a sense of pride, and yes, he actually does care about this. And I've always thought that organization with the Steelers, even though the last 10 years have not been particularly satisfying as it relates to postseason success, the infrastructure seems to be more stable than what he was with. And now you have the Tomlin factor. And Tomlin, if you talk to any Steeler fan, will tell you, I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but that honeymoon's long been over. I expect Aaron Rodgers, should everyone be healthy and he gets enough protection, to have a bit of a renaissance season in 2025.
You set me up for the next segue perfectly. More pressure on Mike Tomlin or Aaron Rodgers? Both these guys have won Super Bowl. Both of these guys are considered first ballot Hall of Famers. Which one has the most pressure this year?
I think they're tied in together at the hip, both. But here's what I think. If you want to talk about, like, the legacy, if Aaron Rodgers only finishes with 1 or 2 Super Bowl trophies on his ledger, it's still looked upon as a letdown. I don't think anyone expected him to win 6 or 7 like Tom Brady. But as big a fan of Rodgers as I am, I've always thought, why doesn't he have more Lombardi trophies to his credit? So even if they make this unbelievable run this year and win it, the overall scope of his career, to some, it's still going to be, I don't know if it's a word or not, underachievement. I believe Tomlin is fighting for his time in Pittsburgh. It's been a really good run. Now, if he wants to stay around in Pittsburgh and this be his only job of his coaching career, yeah, Jason, I get the sense that not only does he have to lead them to the playoffs, because he's been doing that consistently. He's been an above 500 coach for a very long time. That's a great achievement. But he's got to start winning games in mid-January and beyond.
I think there's more pressure on Tomlin because his coaching window is a lot longer than Aaron Rodgers' playing window. Aaron Rodgers' playing window is closed or closing. He's got this year, maybe another year if he were to play at a high level this year. But Mike Tomlin, to me, if somehow they don't win a playoff game, in particular, and I know this is comparing apples to oranges, but when people like Tom Thibodeau are getting fired, when Michael Malone is getting fired, I think there will be, not that the Steelers will bow to this pressure, but if he doesn't win a playoff game, everybody, even the race idolaters, Ryan Clark and other people are going to be like, hey, man, the Steelers need to move on. They got to try something else other than Mike Tomlin. I think there's quite a bit more pressure on Tomlin than on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and keep this in mind. Aaron Rodgers reportedly only signed a one-year deal. So if there's a guy that you think, hey, out of those two, who wants to be in Pittsburgh longer? Just like you mentioned, it's Tomlin. Jason, you know what's worse than being a really bad team in the National Football League is, big picture-wise? Mediocre. Because if you're stuck in that kind of that zone of 9-8, 10 wins, or 7-9 or 7-10 nowadays, you're right in that zone. It's like you're good enough to think you're a playoff contender or Super Bowl contender, and you're not, but you're too good to actually think, well, we need to rebuild. Honestly, I look at certain teams sometimes that hover around that zone, and I say, you're better off just tanking a year, winning 2 or 3 games, and just realizing, you know what, we need to rebuild this whole thing. It almost seems like, and a lot of Steeler fans feel like this, the last 6-7 years they've been treading water, and they've kind of been in this purgatory of mediocrity.
So, I mean, let's look at the division they're in. Then Steelers went 10-7 last year. Yeah. But when you look at this division, Baltimore obviously has Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
The Bengals have Joe Burrow. The Cleveland Browns have the young, great Shedeur, OTA Hall of Famer, Shedeur Sanders. Let's set the Pittsburgh Steelers over-under at 9.5 victories this season. You taking the over or the under?
I'm going to take a leap of faith. I will say over. I still believe that the natural arm talent, and keep this in mind, Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago blew out his Achilles. He was good enough to play last year. I would hope, or I would think, even at this advanced age, he might be a healthier version, or this is my hope. He's a healthier version in 2025 than he is in 2024. One thing was evident from game 1 watching Rodgers last year against the Niners on Monday night. His legs are no longer there, and that's a natural regression. Every athlete goes backwards. And the days of him really extending plays, I think to the degree he did during his MVP runs, is probably over. But if he can get better protection, and if he could really get in tune with DK Metcalf, who's a big physical guy, I think he's going to make more of the contested catches than Garrett Wilson did last year. I do expect improved quarterback play for the Pittsburgh Steelers this upcoming season.
Man, I'm going to walk you through this schedule a little bit for 2025 for the Steelers. Start at the New York Jets, then Seattle, they host Seattle, then at New England, then they host Minnesota, host Cleveland, at Cincy, host Green Bay, host the Colts, at the Los Angeles Chargers, Bengals, then at the Bears. But I think this schedule sets up the ending schedule in the ending schedule at Baltimore versus Miami, at Detroit, at Cleveland, and then Baltimore again. It looks to me like they could get off to a really strong start to start the season, or at least it sets up that way on paper. And so I might take the over here. But again, it's all going to come down to what do they do in the postseason. But I kind of like their schedule.
Jason, keep this in mind. They won 10 games. So this is a pretty decent team. You have some parts, and defensively, if they could ever play from ahead, Watt might have 25 sacks one of these years. You're not asking Aaron Rodgers to be a miracle worker at this point in his career. You're asking him to be just a little bit better than Russell Wilson and Fields? And if he is, that's a game here and a game there, and suddenly that 10-win team could become a 12 or maybe 13-win team. And guess what? Now you have a bye week. Now you have a home game in the playoffs. That's why the NFL is such a good watch, given the fact it's only 17 games. Every game matters, and a game here and a game there can really determine your postseason fate.
Steve, I'm going to let you go. Thank you. Great job. Enjoy your weekend. We're going to enjoy ours, but we got a little bit more work to do here. We're going to be on the Harmony channel in 10, 11 minutes, and we're going to discuss the fight. Have you not heard about the thriller in the White House, or the thriller between Vanilla, Donald Trump and Elon Musk? That fight has been brewing and going on all across social media the last 24 hours. We'll be on the Harmony channel, myself, Shamika Michelle, and Kevin Donahue discussing that. So if you want a little bit more of me and you want my thoughts on Elon Musk and versus Donald Trump, flip on over to the Harmony channel. That's youtube.com @JasonWhitlock Harmony. We'll be there in 10 minutes. For now, we'll play Tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I wanna be. I wanna be.